point that's a very strong point for our current society. This young ruler, and if we go back and go through all the verses that are in between, I wanted to stick to the main point there, but if we go through the verses, he talked about, oh, I've done this, I've followed the commandments, I've done this, I've always done that, I've always done this. Jesus said, fine, go sell what you have and you'll follow me. But he wouldn't do it because he had a lot of stuff. He had great possessions. And that begs the point of, if he wasn't putting God first, if his possessions were more important to him than his stuff, why was he keeping the commandments? He wasn't keeping the commandments out of understanding that God is first and foremost. He was keeping the commandments because it was just something you were supposed to do. That's what they did. They kept the commandments. They did do this, do that. He went to the services, he went to the temple because you're supposed to.
Right.
Because that's what people did in that society in that time. They went to the temple. Right. Otherwise, they wouldn't have considered him one of them. And I'm sure he gave offerings, may have given his tithes, may have lived and done all these different things. But when Jesus told him that God is the only one that's good, and if you want to be saved, get rid of all this stuff you have and follow me, he was sorrowful. He went away. And he didn't follow. He refused to follow God. Because to him, he had made his possessions God.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean that every time you get a blessing, that that's somehow wrong.
Right.
But the other thing that is true is that there was a movement along this line back many years ago. The other thing was true that was true in those days, in that day, is that the Pharisees wrongly thought that anyone that was living for God was automatically blessed with lots of good stuff. That was a sign you were living for God. You had the wealth of the world. That meant you were living for God. Now, what's the converse of that? People who didn't have wealth, people who were sick, or had any problems in their lives by their way of thinking, that meant they must not be living for God, right? If you're living for God, you're healthy, wealthy, and wise. If you're not living for God, you have poor health, you're poor, and probably not too bright by their estimate. I know I could maybe buy into this, if you're wise and living for God, as being valid in that part. And that same attitude has actually came into the church in recent years. There was a movement back a couple decades ago, and I believe the name was called the Latter-day Rain movement, that wrongfully taught that every single bad thing that happened in your life was just because you weren't living for God. That in fact, if you were living for God the way that you were supposed to live, if you were sick, people prayed for you, you got help. Boom. The only reason that you didn't get healthy immediately when someone prays for you is because you were not living for God, just sitting there. The only reason you didn't get financial blessings when you needed them, if somebody prayed for you, if you prayed, the brothers and sisters around you prayed with you, the only reason you didn't get financial blessings for you was that you weren't living for God. Well, that makes nonsense of the Bible.
Right.
You know, if nothing else, there was a blind man that Jesus healed, that they asked him why, who sinned? And they showed that attitude, by the way, in that. Who sinned? Why is he blind? Did his parents sin or did he sin? And he said, no, nobody sinned here. This was to glorify God.
Right.
It was solely there for the purpose so that Jesus could provide an example and provide teaching and for the glory of God. So there's nothing wrong with having possessions. And there's nothing wrong with not having possessions. None of that is indicative of living for God or not living for God. Now, I think it's true, and I think we found, I know that Sister Cindy's found in her life, and we found in our life, and I think that every one of us, the brother and Sister Adam, and Sister Josie, and Frank, I think every one of us has found in our lives that while we may not be made Bill Gates every time we feel the urge to be a billionaire, that God always comes through somehow and provides.
Amen.
Always.
Hallelujah, Lord.
And the only things that seem to be exceptions to that are my limited understanding.
Right.
I will pray and ask God, Lord, deliver me out of this situation. And something will happen and say, man, I wanted to get out of there and it got worse.
Right.
What's this about? This isn't what I wanted. No, but it's what God knows and what God wanted and what God knows I need to get me out of that situation permanently. Sometimes the things that get us out of situations we are in, the way out, the door out is worse than the situation, but it's the door out of it.